the cloud. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you guys to Stephanie Fusnik. I met her in Scottsdale, Arizona at Coaching Con, had a great meal with her, and she was awesome. So I brought her into a group, asked her to join me and just teach my people, you guys out here, exactly what maybe you're doing wrong in your fitness journey, or things probably that I've said before, because I say everything, but maybe coming from a different voice, it might hit home better, honestly. Like, that's how I've always learned. If my dad told me something and then I heard it from a professional, chances are I then started doing it from the professional, not just your dad. And I'm not saying I'm your dad or anything, but here's Stephanie. I'm going to let her take it away. I'm going to mute myself so you can't hear me anymore. Okay. So, hey, Stephanie, thank you again.
Of course. Okay, so my name is Stephanie. I am from Canada, Saskatchewan, in the middle of basically fucking nowhere. And I swear a lot, so it doesn't resonate with you. I'm very sorry, but that's just how I am. And yeah, we met having pizza and ice cream when we were in Scottsdale. So nutrition coaching for the win. But today what I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about is cortisol, because it's a super bad rap. And usually it's something that we all really struggle with, myself included. But it does have a bunch of important aspects as well. But first I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me in terms of like my education and stuff. So I did my bachelor's and master's in kin. Then I went on to work for the health region for a while. Then I went to be an osteopath, worked as a trainer, an exercise therapist in chronic disease management, cardiac rehab, cancer rehab. Basically anything chronic disease related, I've basically dealt with at some point throughout my career. And then I just got sick of the way the healthcare system was doing stuff. So then I opened my own clinic and started doing my own shit the way I wanted to. And that's how I am here today. But okay, cortisol gets a super bad rap, but it does have important factors. And it helps control our blood sugar levels. It helps regulate our metabolism. It reduces inflammation. It regulates our salt and water balance intake, blood pressure control. It actually helps improve memory and so many other things. Like, for example, if you've had like a horrific car accident or something really scary, we tend to remember those experiences quite vividly. That's because of cortisol in our nervous system. So it does play a very important role in our bodies, but being able to understand how to regulate it is really important. And a little fun fact, it is found most predominantly in visceral fat. So that's the fat that's around our abdomen. So if we're really stressed and our cortisol is really high, our body needs to have receptors for it to attach to. So it's going to create more space for those receptors to be, because if we have all this cortisol, it needs to go somewhere. Therefore, it goes to our abdomen. We hold on to fat, so more receptors can accumulate there. So our cortisol has somewhere to go. So when we're really stressed out, we get that stress bloat, stress belly. That's what that is our body needs cortisol receptors because it's so high. So if your cortisol is always high, you're always going to have abdominal fat because it needs somewhere to go, which is super shitty, but that's just the way life is. So then our cortisol, it is supposed to be high at certain times of day. So that's why when people are like, oh, I should get my cortisol tested, I'm like, probably not. It's more of a waste of money, because if you exercise, your cortisol is going to be higher. If you had poor sleep, it's going to be higher. If you had carbs recently, it's going to be lower. Like, there's so many things that it's going to vary the, like, how high it is or how low it is, that it's not necessarily the best thing to get tested per se. So typically you want cortisol to be high in the morning. As the day goes on, it kind of like swoops down and then gets lower. So when that like curve is out of whack, this is sometimes where we get like hot flashes in the evening if you are going through perimenopause or menopause, or why we wake up with the night sweats, or we wake up lots in the evening. It's because we're getting sometimes either a blood sugar dip or a cortisol high, which are inversely related. So that actually causes you to have poorer sleep as well. So it's all about trying to fix that curve. So there's lots of things that you can do. So for example, too much cortisol at night causes insomnia. If you have chronically high levels all the time, you're going to be more predisposed to have anxiety. So if you're a person that's very high anxiety, chances are your cortisol is also very high. If you have low cortisol levels though, you're going to have very low energy. It's also going to lower your thyroid levels as well. So cortisol actually really matters, and making sure that we have that nice healthy curve is important, because too much and too little is also going to be not so great. So it's very important for making sure energy is good. It affects our estrogen, our testosterone levels, our thyroid levels, and things really go to shit during perimenopause, as shitty as that is, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. But cortisol just really fucks shit up for us, to be completely honest. So ways to like improve your cortisol curve to have it higher in the mornings and lower in the evenings. There's a lot of things that you guys can do. So the first one is trying to get sunlight earlier in the day. Sunlight is naturally going to increase your cortisol levels. So being able to go outside and go for a walk in the morning is a really great way to do that. Or wearing like blue blocker glasses in the evening, because then our body doesn't think that it's still daytime, because then we're going to get that cortisol increase again. So having more light in the morning, less light in the evening, very important. So getting blue blocker glasses is actually like a super good option if you're someone who has to be on screens a lot in the evening. The second one is sleep. If you have a really poor sleep pattern, your cortisol is also going to be all over the place, because when we're sleeping, cortisol can re-regulate our curve again. So if we're constantly waking up, it's just going to fuck shit up. So another way that you can also improve your cortisol in the evenings is to have carbs at nighttime, which people are like, shut the fuck up. Carbs are no, carbs are bad. Fuck that. Have you ever had like the best sleep after Thanksgiving supper? It's because of all the fucking carbs. So if you have carbs later in your evening, obviously you have to pair it with some protein so you don't get your blood sugar drop. But what's going to happen when you have those carbs is it's going to help increase your insulin, which is going to decrease your cortisol. So super helpful that way. I'm not telling you to like crush 10 donuts before bed. That's not what I'm saying, but like have some carbs with your last meal, or have like an evening stack of like cheese and crackers. Super good option to help bring that insulin up a little bit, to help regulate that cortisol curve, to help you sleep better. Relaxation. We need to lower our stress just in general. And everyone's like, okay, cool. That's super helpful. So doing things to help get into your rest and digest part of your nervous system, because when cortisol is high, it's because we're constantly stuck in fight or flight. It's literally like we're being chased by a bear the entire fucking time. So when our cortisol is really high, the last thing your body's going to want to do is try and get rid of weight. It's like in starvation mode, fight or flight, like it is getting ready for disaster. Whether that stress is coming from your husband pissing you off, your children driving you crazy, your dog shit in the hallway, whatever, work pissed you off, you're working out too hard, you're not getting enough sleep, your body has no idea. Stress is stress is stress. It doesn't fucking matter. So we have to do things to like teach our body that we're in rest and digest. So this is just as easy as taking 5 minutes out of your day. I know it sounds super crazy, but I do this with almost all of my clients now, and it turns out to be super helpful. Is I get them to lay down on the floor or on the bed with their butt as close to the wall as they can and their feet up in the air. So it's like you're stretching the back of your legs. And what that's going to do is help bring blood flow back into your gut to help with digestion. So if you're someone who struggles with bloating, this is super helpful. And just being there for 5 minutes, not on your phone, just focus on deep breathing, just 5 fucking minutes out of your day. Like it's 5 minutes and it will be so helpful. But those 5 minutes help teach your body that you don't have to be in fight or flight all the time, that you are able to relax. That's going to help bring cortisol down. So even if you're just doing it like once or twice a day for 5 minutes to help like break that up, break out of your fight or flight, it's super, super helpful. Lots of my clients now are like, oh, that's my me time. My kids come and like sit beside me and put their feet up on the wall, and it's super awesome. And their husband's like, what the fuck are you doing? They're like, I'm relaxing, leave me alone. But it's a super easy way to like get yourself out of that fight or flight. Focus on deep breathing, because the slower and deeper we breathe, the more we're going to go into that rest and digest portion of our nervous system, which is super important. So it doesn't have to be like this crazy meditative thing. Like find something just to bring your nervous system down. If you're going to go for a walk, walk leisurely. You're not walking to exercise, like you're going for a nice light stroll, again, to bring yourself into that rest and digest portion of your nervous system. The other thing is exercising. So exercising is naturally going to really increase your cortisol, because it is a stressful situation that you're putting your body into. Whether you feel great or not afterwards, like doesn't matter, it's still stress. And all of us are adrenaline junkies. So everyone who loves their high intensity interval training, like pushing hard, no days off, all that shit, that's just us chasing that cortisol high. That's really all it is. And then most people don't fuel before their workouts. They don't fuel after their workouts. So that cortisol just stays up all fucking day. So one of the best things to do is, if you like working out in the morning in particular, where cortisol is already high, and then we're going to bump it up even more, have a little bit of carb and protein before, and make sure you have carb and protein after, because those carbs are going to help bring that cortisol level down. So this has been something that like just adding a snack before and after workouts has completely changed people's energy and shown like huge changes during their weight loss journey, because they're actually able to bring that cortisol level down, which means you don't have to have that abdominal fat for those receptors anymore because the overall level is decreasing. So if you can, evening workouts are kind of good because your cortisol's already low, so the increase won't be quite as high. Still need to fuel before and after, but if you're working out in the morning, super, super important to make sure you're fueling before and after. And then stimulants obviously increase cortisol, so caffeine is going to bring that up. So trying to avoid that later in the day, like 2 p.m. cutoff as much as possible, because that does increase your cortisol. We don't want it to be high at the end of the day. And the other thing, again, is your carbohydrates, making sure you have those later in the evening if you're having a harder time with your sleep and cortisol levels in general. With cortisol, quick little spiel on our like perimenopause and menopause stuff. That's kind of my jam. Is when we're going through perimenopause, menopause, our bodies cannot tolerate stress nearly as well anymore. Usually by this point, we've already had a handful of children. We've been through hell and back, body's recovering. We don't know what the fuck's going on with our bodies. Then we hit menopause or perimenopause, and you feel like someone has taken over your body. You have no idea what's going on. You're having hot flashes, fatigue, you feel bloated, like extra water retention. And this is all because of estrogen dropping. So when estrogen drops, you're going to see an increase in water retention. The hormones that tell you you're hungry are going to be higher. The hormones that tell you that you're full are going to be fewer. So you're going to feel more hungry, and you're not going to get feeling full feeling as much. So you're going to be naturally in a tendency to eat more. You're naturally going to be a little bit more bloated because we're holding on to fluid. You are going to see that your muscle building ability actually decreases. So strength training is really important during this time. You need to make sure that you're utilizing more protein intake, because your protein, or like more steadily during your day, because your body doesn't receive it as well anymore because of that estrogen drop. And then the other thing that's super shitty is that you are going to be not able to handle stress as much. So our cortisol naturally goes up and inflammation naturally goes up when you're going through perimenopause. So then when you're not addressing like the extra stress in your life, and you're not addressing the right kind of exercise and the right kind of recovery and the right kind of nutrition, you are just adding stress on top of stress, on top of stress, on top of stress, which your body is not handling as well anymore. And then that's why you're having such a hard time with that belly fat, trying to lose that weight. You might be like, oh, like my legs look great, but what the fuck is going on in my midsection? That's what it is. So it's 100% cortisol. It is like the thing we preach the most is like learning. It doesn't mean to take out all your favorite foods. Like that's like, I will eat pizza till the day I die. And I don't care what anyone says. Same with donuts. They're fantastic. But like, you just need to learn how to get into that rest and digest portion of your nervous system by like taking a breather a couple times a day, making sure you're having enough carbs, fueling before and after workouts, and then get rid of the adrenaline junkie workouts and focus on your strength training. People are like, but I feel so good. It's because you're addicted to cortisol. That's what it is. So that's like my big spiel thing. Like, just to sum it up, sunlight in the morning to like fix your cortisol curve, or blue blocker glasses in the evening if you have to be on screens. Make sure you're focusing on your sleep. That's really, really important. Making sure you're taking time to relax, whether that's like feet up on the wall, doing some deep breathing, meditation stuff. I can't do that because my brain's too crazy. So the feet up on the wall is the way I deal with it. Making sure you're doing the right kind of exercise, fueling before and after, avoiding caffeine after 2 p.m., and making sure you're incorporating carbs in particular in the like back half of your day for sure. If you're doing activity where you need it, yeah, have carbs earlier, but like the whole only protein and veggies at nighttime, I'm like, fuck that. That's my spiel. That's my cortisol. That's my jam. That's my favorite. But yeah, if anyone have any questions and stuff, or do you have any questions? Like this is the shit I love.
Oh, that's
just telling
awesome.
people to chill the fuck out.
We're gonna get along because like the second we met, she started cussing like that. I'm like, fuck yeah. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat, or if you want to, you can hit the more button at the bottom. Just go to reactions, and there's actually a hand raise. raise hand. So just click
Oh,
on
that's
that.
how you do that.
Oh
I've
yeah.
always seen people do that and I've never known how.
Yeah, so go into reactions and it's for all the reactions. So if you guys do it, your name will pop up actually in order, which makes it super
Oh,
convenient for
cool.
us. But if you have any questions, now's the time. My big takeaway is that I'm right still. Like everything you said hit home. So that was really cool. No, I'm just kidding. But it's so understated about how important like just recovery is and
Mhm.
how I hope everybody like, oh, that hits home, like the high workouts or like the lack of recovery or anything that was kind of coming across. I'm like check,
Well,
check,
and
check,
just
check, check.
eating enough because like being in a calorie deficit is also really stressful on our bodies. So if we're doing all those things and then also only eating like 1,200 calories a day or even 1,600 calories a day, you're just adding stress on top of stress still. Like it's not enough. So like your reverse diet is going to be longer. It's going to take you more time to see those results and heal things because your body like literally cannot handle it. So like stop eating 1,200 calories. If anyone's doing that, just fucking stop.
Yeah. No, it was hard for me. I was a binge and restrict lifestyle. Just hey, let me try this keto thing. Let me try this thing. Like, oh, paleo, that sounds fun. Or like Whole30 or intermittent fasting. No, I'm just restricting my hours.
Yeah.
And it took me about 10 months of consistently reversing up the 1,000 calories, which I don't even like eating that much. But if
I
I can
eat
eat
2,400 calories like every day.
yeah, so that's amazing. And you're not like 6'5", like 200 pounds
No,
of
like I'm 5'5". I weigh 145 pounds. I only work out like 2 to 3 days a week. I'm a pretty go personality, so my cortisol is definitely high. So I do need like the carbs and stuff. But people are like, "There's no fucking way." I'm like, "Do you want me to show you what I eat in a day?" Like I had a blizzard today, had a mini blizzard, and it's not because my metabolism's super high, because it's not. Like if I don't mitigate my stressors, I can't eat that way. Like I'm a fucking disaster, and I get hangry like you wouldn't believe. Like it's pretty bad.
So around the whole cortisol talk, there's always a lot of talk about supplements. And would you recommend any in particular, or would you have people avoid them? So people like always come to me like, hey, I take so many milligrams of melatonin. And I'm like, well, that may not be the thing. Like, leaning on
Well,
that
because then
every
your
day.
body's not going to make it anymore,
Exactly.
right? Because it knows that you're getting it from an external source. That's the same with like hormones. Like when guys take testosterone, like your body just stops making it itself because it doesn't need to. So
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of it. Also, they're fucking expensive. Like I would much rather just eat some carbs than try and take some extra medications or whatever. So that's just like how I am. But like I basically just tell people like magnesium sometimes is helpful before bed if you're having that with your last meal. That's the only really supplement that I give or like suggest. But like unless it's like a vitamin B, vitamin D, or an omega-3, I'm kind of like, save your money. That shit's expensive.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
Have you ever heard about the effects of ashwagandha?
I have had some people in my group like trying it. Some people had like not great reactions to it. Some people really like it. I personally haven't tried it yet. But I know they talk about it on Mind Pump and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something I want to try. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
I will eventually, I'm sure.
I had it in the Organifi green juice.
Oh yeah.
But my mom was a huge fan, so she like the whole holistic side. I can't believe she's not on. She supports me, but not tonight. So what the heck, mom? But she's like so she's 63 now, 62. She's 62. But she took it during her perimenopausal years and compares her to other, and she had less hot flashes. So it's kind of got this estrogen balancing effect, estrogen testosterone balancing effect, they say. So Cindy used it. So Cindy, if you want to unmute, tell us your experience, right?
My doctor is an integrative practitioner, and after my husband died, she recommended that I take it. So it's an adaptogen to help you address stress, and a couple of different protein powders that I've had have had ashwagandha in it. as well. So I've never had a negative reaction to it. I did do a food sensitivity test and I'm sensitive to it.
Oh,
So I stopped it for a while. I can tell when I take it. I can tell when I take it and I get an immediate calm. For me, it wasn't something that I needed to build up in my system.
Nice.
So, and I'm not sure what other herbs and foods are considered adaptogens.
Yeah.
But I'm all for it. Worked for me.
very
Well, and I
cool.
mean, if it's natural, then like that's awesome. Like I'm way more pro having that stuff than like, I don't want to say I'm anti-medicine because I'm not. I just like it takes me a lot even to take Advil. So I'm like, I should be able to fix this by myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like if it works and you have a good response to it, like why not?
Yeah, there's some weird ones out there like black licorice root, I think is one adaptogen
Fucking
that
hate
has like
licorice
similar
so
effects.
much.
I've never had straight ashwagandha. I had it in the greens juice, but rumor has it it tastes terrible. So I
Oh,
don't know
really?
if you take it
Interesting.
different forms. Is there anything else? Anyone has any questions? Again, you can always raise your hand or put it in the chat box.
Anyone on Facebook?
Let me look. On Facebook, it still says we have 4, but I think like 3 of those people jumped into the room. So yeah, we got like 10 people in the room right now. But another thing too is I've had conversations with so many of you guys in the group or saw you at the store and had these conversations. And you know what everybody always says to me? Oh, I'm one of your silent followers. Well, now's a great time to not be that silent follower because I yelled at you a little bit. I want you to participate because it's great to hear all this information. But like, if you guys have specific questions, feel free to reach out.
Oh yeah, I'm all about giving away free shit. Fuck yeah.
So
There's way too much trash out there.
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I apologize for being late. I had an unexpected stop after my workout. Cortisol's effect on visceral fat and the best way to lose visceral fat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So honestly, the best way to lose visceral fat is going to be decreasing anything that increases your cortisol really high. So this is where things like making sure you're fueling properly after a workout, making sure, this is why a lot of people lose weight during a reverse diet, because your body hits that sweet spot of like, we're okay. We're not in fight or flight anymore. So like making sure you're eating enough, making sure you're getting enough recovery, and like learning to like not sweat the small stuff, which is super fucking hard. But also if you're going to have a treat, like this is something I had a conversation with someone the other day where it was like, will the donut potentially have some inflammatory response? Sure. No, what's going to have a much higher response cortisol wise is you freaking out that you had a fucking donut. So like learning to just like enjoy that food and stuff like that, fueling properly. So making sure you're actually eating enough. Cause like especially for women, we're chronic undereaters because some person a super fucking long time ago was like, hey, you guys should eat less. And we were like, okay. And now that's just like ingrained in our brain. Even when we're reversing dieting, there's like a voice in the back of our head that's like, this isn't really working. Like, I think I'm going to start eating less again. And we fucking just self-sabotage ourselves. So before a workout, for example, making sure you're having a carb and a protein that's easily digestible. Like personally, I like things like rice cake with like some nut butter on it, or some protein powder or whatever it is that it's going to be, even some BCAAs or something like that, whatever. And then afterwards, you can have like a more filling protein and carb. So it can be something with more fiber. You don't want to have a ton of fiber or fat before your workout because it's going to slow down your digestion and just not feel super awesome to be completely honest. But and post-workout, you can have like whatever the hell you want, honestly. But those are two things that are really important because especially like perimenopause, menopause is like my focus. But especially like if you're in that age group and higher, like we can't access our energy stores as well as like we used to. So we rely mostly on like fat metabolism, but that means when we're going into workout, it takes longer for us to be able to access those stores. So making sure that you have some carbohydrate before is really important, so that you have stuff to use while your body's kind of warming up to let you get into that fat metabolism, because our body does not do super great at accessing those stores. And it's just a part of the shitty process that women have to go through, unfortunately. And then making sure after your workout that you also have your carb and your protein to help bring that cortisol down. And again, it's very important to have that protein regularly during your day compared to just like 3 meals a day. Like if you can have a protein snack somewhere, that's better, because our body doesn't absorb protein as well anymore either. And our body doesn't build muscle as well either. So making sure that we're properly fueling afterwards is really, really important. Because then if we're just losing muscle mass, we're slowing down our metabolism anyways, which we don't want. Does that make sense? Kind of. I hope that wasn't like too much verbal diarrhea.
And no, that's good. Sarah's got a question in the chat and she just raised her hand. So Sarah, if you want to unmute yourself and talk.
Yeah. Hi. Okay, so I have a couple questions.
Absolutely.
So when you just said now, you know, our metabolism slowing down, obviously with perimenopause, menopause, and protein isn't, I don't know if I heard you correctly, metabolized correctly, or
yeah, like our body doesn't respond as well to like the muscle building response in the protein. Yeah.
So the rule of thumb that I've been told for protein intake is essentially like a gram per pound of body weight.
Yes.
Does that still then hold true even at this age?
Even more so. You can get away with having less protein before perimenopause and menopause onwards. Like it's much better to be closer to 1 gram than the 0.8 that like some people recommend, just because of those facts, especially if you work out, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I saw you put something about coffee in there. So I will never, ever give up my coffee. And I would never, ever say that to someone else, ever. So the biggest thing is just making sure, like, if you're having coffee in the morning, like, make sure you're going to have like some food with it somewhat regularly. I know some people like to fast, but like, I don't know, for me, I like to eat some kind of like, and I'm more of a snacker during the day just because with my lifestyle, I'm pretty go, which it's not super healthy, but working on it. But making sure that I have like, oh my God, cat, get out of here. Making sure that you're having your like snacks. So whether, even if it's just like a rice cake with something or half a piece of toast with some peanut butter and jam or whatever, just having something to help like mitigate that response. And the biggest thing is making sure that you don't have it like after 2 p.m. because it will cause quite a spike in your cortisol. So it's all about just trying to balance it out. So if you're doing something that's going to raise it, make sure you're doing something that brings it down as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way I always looked at it is, so coffee or caffeine in general isn't going to give you fuel. It's just blocking the receptors that tell you you're tired. So cortisol is waking you up, and then you're just blocking the receptors that tell you're tired. So in my eyes, like just coffee, smelling it and then tasting it like right in the morning just makes me smile a bit. And if I would delay that to get the benefits of cortisol that I already have, because you've met me before, I'm mildly stressed sometimes. So I wouldn't do it. It's the same thing that she talked about, is like the donuts. It's like you might be causing more of a cortisol spike by like almost avoiding something and feeling like neglecting it and like stressing, like I just want a donut, but I can't have it. Or like I'm at this party and they have all these cookies or these desserts and I'm not going to have that because it's not on my diet. Well, the cortisol effect that you're having that might be worse than eating the damn cookie. So like
And then also it's like with the cortisol stuff, like try and pick your low-hanging fruit. Like everyone knows what the worst thing is it your sleep? Is the fact that you're eating too little, you're exercising too much, you're not fueling properly? Like what are those are the big hitters, right? Like caffeine, like sure, maybe a little bit, but like if your sleep is shit, like that's what you should be focusing on. Like focus on like the one thing that you know is like a fucking problem. Because just improving that bad thing a little bit is going to like increase your success far more than like trying to make your best the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So on the topic of sleep, I know you gave some really great suggestions as far as like, you know, trying to mitigate disruptors for your sleep, but I'm already in a horrible sleep pattern. Like, and it doesn't matter if I've powered down or ate carbs before bed or whatever. Like I'm in a really bad pattern where I wake up several times a night, I toss and I turn, and I don't get solid sleep. So then I'm tired throughout the day. It's just this horrible.
How much are you eating in a day?
There we go. I mean, I'm not eating enough.
Ooh,
Well, that's probably your problem.
probably.
So then your cortisol levels are probably all fucked up during the day, and then it just continues into the nighttime. So like,
I mean, even in the days where I definitely eat plenty, like I'm at 2,400 calories or whatever, I still sleep like good.
Yeah, but like, are you consistent with eating that though?
No.
And overeating is actually stress on your body too. So like you have a baseline, and undereating is a stress on your body, overeating is a stress on your body. And both those signals want you to conserve energy. So it's a hard thing. A fun story that I just had today is I was working with somebody who is going through the process of reverse dieting, and she's super stressed out about it, which isn't great.
Everyone is.
It's a really hard concept, but her one huge takeaway is that she used to get really shitty sleep, like where she was waking up 3, 4, 5 times a night, going to the bathroom, needing water, like that, tired but wired. And since she started working and doing the reverse diet, like doing the work, she feels like nervous and stressed out about that, but her sleep is amazing. So
yeah, I find during the reverse diet, the sleep gets better, less energy crashes. And then also if you have like perimenopausal, menopausal symptoms, those decrease. And like when people are like, holy fuck, I only had one hot flash this week, they're like stoked.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And like the sleep thing is going to be tough. So like trying to be consistent with like what you're eating is probably going to be the first thing to be helpful. And then like, do you get up and walk around when you wake up, or like, what does that look like when you wake up at nighttime?
Oh, I just toss and turn. I don't get up and walk around, but there'll be times where I'm awake from like 2 to 5.
Okay. And does like your mind race? Like, are you a mind racer? Like start making lists and shit?
Yeah, yes, but then I try to stop that,
Okay, so I used to be the exact same way, because I'll wake up and be like, oh my God, and I like worry about falling asleep because I don't want to like forget my idea. So I literally have a notepad beside my bed that now I sleep really good, so I'm good, but like it would help me just knowing to get those like thoughts out on paper and then go back to bed, because I knew I wasn't gonna like forget about it.
Yeah, no, I've done that when I need to. It's just more of I need to get back to sleep. I am not sleeping. I need to get back to sleep. I'm not sleeping. It's just an awful cycle. So I'm sure it's probably because I've been under eating for so long.
Yeah.
Somewhat overtraining. And I'm also
how often do you work out?
In general, probably about 5 days a week.
Okay. And like, what do you think your calorie intake's like?
Between 1,200 and 17, maybe.
That's your problem. So what I would say is like track for like a week. Just
I track
yourself. Okay, good.
I track.
So yeah, I would say like for 3 weeks, try and increase your calories by 100 each week. So if you're doing 1,500 this week, do 1,600, then 1,700, then 1,800, and like try to only work out 4 days a week. I know it's like, what the fuck? You're telling me to eat more and move less. You're going to feel so much better. I promise.
We'll see.
Because I used to do the same. I used to work out 5 days a week. Now I only work out 2 to 3. My physique looks way better and I don't feel like garbage anymore. And my joints are so much happier.
Yeah.
Sarah, the really hard thing is you got to think, what's the alternative? If you want your body composition to change more and get more lean or lose weight or anything like that, are you going to go to 1,000 calories? Are you going to start doing 2 days?
Right. No, I know that I definitely don't eat enough. I just struggle. I've been under eating for so long.
Oh yeah. It's a huge mind fuck. It's a huge mind fuck. And then you stress because you're like, you'll increase a little and then like, oh gosh, I feel heavier today. Yeah. Like it's hard. And honestly, what I like for a lot of people, if they really struggle with it, I tell them not to weigh themselves. Like, let's just focus on pictures. A lot of people will see really good changes in body composition and lose inches without actually like seeing any weight loss. Like I have a woman who's down 2.5 pounds pant sizes, but she's 5 pounds heavier.
Yep.
So it's like, the scale can really mess with people quite a bit. And yeah, so I tell people to try that. And then if you're not comfortable increasing that quickly, like a lot of people, I'll give them a range, and it's like, okay, this week we're doing 1550 to 1650. And then the next week it's 16 to 17. And then, so we literally just up the increment by like 50. So you can fall anywhere within that 100 calorie range. And that tends to help people like panic a little bit less. But like, oh, I actually did a TikTok on it today where it's like, stop self-sabotaging your reverse diets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to, because it's like, hey, why don't you like enjoy some carbs? And people are like, oh no, no way. Like I've had so many people like, I gain 2 pounds every time I look at a donut. I'm like, that sucks.
That used to be me.
Gain any weight, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a stressful thing, and it's honestly, the psychology is harder than actually doing it. It's the psychology that really sucks. But I've found that if I'm having a quote unquote bad food, which doesn't exist, but that's another story. Like today I had my blizzard. It's just a mini blizzard. It was great. And like, usually I would fucking inhale it, like just scarf it down so you deprive yourself of it. And like, I ate really slow. I enjoyed it. I'm like, man, this is actually like super good. And this is like my favorite blizzard. Like actually enjoyed it. Like it was awesome. When I was in San Diego, I had pasta 3 nights in a row, and I actually didn't feel shitty. And I think it's just because like I wasn't as stressed out about it. I didn't eat super fast. I enjoyed it. Like it was a really like, I'm on this trip, I think I enjoyed my food more than I ever have in my entire life. And I feel really good about it actually. And I don't feel shitty. So, so cute.
This is Wells.
Hi, Wells.
You say hi? Say hi, don't be shy. Wells will tell you to eat your pizza and your carbs.
Do you like pizza?
Wells, do you like treats?
Yeah,
What's your favorite treat?
a chocolate donut.
A chocolate donut.
That's so cute.
Yeah, any other questions?
Any other questions, you guys? This is so fun. I love this stuff.
Yeah. Here we got Liz. You gonna mute yourself, Liz, and go ahead?
So what do you suggest for like trying to hit those calorie goals if like you're someone that's just genuinely not hungry like the first half of the day? Like I wake up in the morning, I'm not hungry at all. I can kind of have like coffee and go. I'm really not hungry by lunch. And then suddenly by the time I hit breakfast, I still have like 2,000 calories I'm supposed to get in to hit that goal.
Yeah. So I have a bunch of women who are in the same boat, and it's hard. And I'm actually far more concerned when people don't have an appetite than when they do. Because if your appetite is very low, that's a clear indication that like metabolism is quite like slowed down. It's probably been that way for quite a while because your body's just used to like surviving at that point, really. So things that I tell people to like enjoy during this time are things that are a little bit higher in fat because they are going to have more calories. And people are like, oh, cheese. And I'm like, fuck yeah, cheese. So like for me, like I put cream in my coffee. I don't give a shit. Like coffee without creamer just tastes like garbage. That's my opinion, and I will always do that. But trying to find like smaller volume, higher calorie foods. So like nuts are a really good one for this. And even if you're not hungry in the morning, like just have a rice cake or something. Like I know it doesn't seem like much, but actually eating will like get the process going. And you're like, because our bodies are very in tune with our digestion. Our digestion is actually very in tune with our sleep patterns as well. So like if you don't eat until usually whatever, let's say noon, try and see if you can have a snack at 10 and then slowly bring it back. Because sometimes what happens if you like all of a sudden go to eating breakfast, your body actually thinks it's like 12 o'clock. And so then when you go to have your supper or your lunchtime, it thinks it's supper. And then your day, like your body thinks your day is shorter, if that kind of makes sense, because your body's like very circadian that way with like your digestion. So try and have a snack before your lunch, just like whatever, a couple hours, something little, have some nuts, have some cheese, yogurt, whatever. And then the following week, try and add something before or make that meal a little bit bigger or move it back a little bit, but like do it slowly and gradually because our bodies love routine. And when we fuck that shit up, our body is like, nah, this is not what we do. This is why like reverse dieting will take a while. This is why like changing the way we eat, especially if you've been eating that way for a really long time, is going to take some time. So I would highly recommend like tossing in a snack, even like, and something a little bit higher calorie. Like I would probably do like some trail mix or something, just to start that off, and then still make sure you're eating the same amount of your other meals.
Yeah,
But this is a great time to utilize like higher fat stuff. Like this is a great time to cook with like cream sauces, and a great time to add some extra cheese in your sandwiches, or, you know, like this is where you get to like add a little bit extra of the stuff that we're so scared to have, if that kind of makes sense.
it's funny to have like different clients, because like there's some people like, hey, you have this huge shake every day. Well, that shake's 900 calories. Like, just so you know, when you're eating that, it's like, it's in like one shake. And then people that are under eating, I'm like, you should really lean into the shake. The shake is amazing. It's gonna have like half your calories.
Exactly.
If you haven't, or like, you know, so what do you snack on? Like, oh, I snack on a bunch of trail mix. Well, you know, just so you know, that's creeping your calories probably like 500. And like, if you're under eating and you're coming from that way where you don't want to feel full, or you're like scared of gaining, like play some like trail mix, like have a little chocolate in there, like feel really good about it.
And having like
Because
being able
it'll
to drink your
give you that
calories during
kind
this time is like a good option too. Like this is a great time to like utilize some like higher cal smoothies, or put in a little extra whatever in there. Like there's nothing
Especially if you're
wrong.
not hungry, right? Like if you're not hungry, like you can just, and then you just know like you're starting that process, like you said.
Yeah, just like sip on a drink, like whatever you need to do, like a smoothie or something. It's finding lower volume, higher calorie. Like that's what you want. Which like sounds super fucking backwards, but it is the way to go.
I know. You gotta find that guy that said to eat less like forever ago. Like what?
Yeah, I gotta find that guy and like say stuff.
Awesome. Any other questions? That was a good one, Liz. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone on Facebook? Here, let's check Facebook. Nope. Holly, anything in there? Amy, go ahead if you want to unmute yourself.
Okay, so I've been training with Ryan forever, and I'm old comparatively. I'm just kind of stuck where I am right now, and he knows I'm frustrated. I'm just kind of stuck. So I've done the weight loss, you know, I've gone through the learn how to eat better, do all that stuff. So I know some of that, and I track my food for a while, but I do feel guilty all the time about what I'm doing. But right now for me, it's my sleep sucks because I have hot flashes all the time. I'm trying the ashwagandha. That's really not making a huge difference.
Mhm.
And it's so cyclical, which is what makes it so hard. So or what you know, you speak like to me, like, so if I just change my diet, then it will be so much more consistent that I'll be able to sleep and do whatever. I mean, life has stressors that you just can't sometimes
totally.
escape. I have 4 kids and, you know, aging parents and, you know, all those things. But yeah, I guess I'm just curious to hear. So that's kind of where I'm struggling. Like, how do I get to that next step where I can get beyond? Because I'm kind of been stuck here for a while. I've been having hot flashes for a while. And you're right, my body, like, it's stuck right in that midsection, even though I train and I'm doing the strength training. We don't do a ton of cardio. I mean, I'm following Ryan's program, you know, and we alternate, you know, I train 5 days a week, but we don't train hard 5 days a week. Some days we do more stretching, mobility type stuff. So I don't feel like I'm overtraining. I don't know. That's where I'm stuck right now.
Are you having like a pre and post workout snack usually?
I always after I work out, I always have a protein bar and a protein smoothie, and I have a protein powder that I started that has like no sugar or whatever, so it doesn't have, so I'm not getting tons of extra calories there, but like it's got 20 grams of protein, and then I'm having a protein bar that has 10 grams of protein, and that's every day for breakfast. I think there's carbs in that protein bar because it's not like, it's just the run of the mill, you know, one that I get at the grocery store, so, or the Costco or wherever. I don't know, maybe I'm just not having enough, and I like chocolate, so I refuse to ever give that up ever.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't
Totally.
do it. No, honestly, like maybe try some more carbs. Like try some more carbs. I find like the stress regulation stuff is like huge, and like carbs actually really help with like thyroid function too, which people are like yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's great for you. But so I would try having like, make sure you have a little bit more carb before, for sure. And then make sure you have carb after. Those are two like easy things that you can try and see if it makes a difference. If it does, you'll probably notice it within the first couple of weeks for sure. And try the like laying down, feet up on the wall. Like try that.
I'm gonna totally try that because I'll put that
Yeah.
in. I mean, I'll just gonna set a time and set an alarm and make myself do that twice a day.
Yeah, like
Because I
we
don't
had,
take that time.
Yeah, we did challenge for that. And we just had people, they put out their yoga mat or their pillow or a sticky note or something on the wall where they were going to do it and like put a time. And then that's what they did. We did it for a week. And like, I think all 50 women are still doing it. So like, that was actually so nice. I just listened to a podcast and like, obviously like something that's calming, like not something's going to get you all riled up, but for them, it was like really good. And it was just a nice way to break up their day. And some people are doing it twice a day, which has been helpful too. But for sure, it's like, it's the stress response where like the cortisol is peaking. So I would be trying and deal with that a little bit better and see how that feels. But yeah, so pre and post workout snack, make sure you have your carbs in there and then try the feet up on the wall and see how that feels.
Is it important
think the
how
hardest
soon?
thing-
Go ahead,
go ahead,
Ryan.
Amy. I was
I just want to know.
It's the anxiety that you have around the food that you're like the bad foods. Like she said, there's no bad foods. And we've talked about that. Like it's super hard because for so long you wanted the chocolate and you deprived the chocolate. When you got the chocolate, you overate the chocolate and then you had that bad response to the chocolate. Well, it's just chocolate, right? Like have a little bit, enjoy it.
It's a great way like to fuel your workout actually. Like if you want to have a treat, having it before a workout is actually like the most ideal time to do it because
the chocolate bar.
Yeah, just to have a couple pieces of chocolate before if you want, like see how you feel.
Yeah.
Honestly, give it a try.
Yeah, I think I would feel gross, honestly, but yeah, but it's good to know that eating right before is important and that like and to pair like some carb with some protein, and that's good because I really don't like going into a workout. I don't feel good if I have like nothing to eat if we're training at all hard. Like I just feel you can feel your blood sugar dropping and I just don't feel good. So I don't want to come back and work out, like that's that's not a good.
No, aim for at least like 15 grams of protein 15 grams of carbs before for sure. And and make sure it's nothing with like too much fiber in it. Like make sure it's something easily digestible. Yeah. So
it's kind of hard because like an easy digestible carb with like you think orange juice or apple juice, but anything that's acidic for me during my workouts is absolutely ruining it. So one thing I can't do that is just like half a piece of toast with peanut butter. Like
that's what I do. I do a rice cake or bread.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then can you just, how important is the timing of after you work out?
Honestly,
because like if I come,
the sooner the better, especially for women, especially with like perimenopause and menopause. Like if you can get it within 30 minutes, that's ideal. Anything is going to help obviously, but like sooner is definitely better specifically for women during this time, because otherwise our stress response just like as soon, if we can bring it down sooner, better. Even if you just end up having like an apple right after or something, and then have like more protein and carb after that, that's fine.
So that's something I can change because I don't like come home, I shower, I get ready for work or whatever. So by the time I'm getting anything, it's probably 2 hours after we've finished working out, by the time I'm sitting down at work and we're kind of in a calm space to start eating something.
Yeah. So that's 2 hours where your body has like heightened cortisol levels. So like that will actually probably make a huge difference for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Actually, it's something that Stephanie missed at the coaching con because she was in the fancy area where she got to go talk to the I was with the general population, but there was this consistent blood glucose monitoring system that's just like a workflow for that. And what they noticed too was that different people had different responses to the same food. So like they had one person that had like a banana and it spiked like 100 points, and another person was like 50 points. But when they paired that banana with peanut butter or just like a little bit of a carb and a fat and a protein, it did not spike that cortisol or that insulin. Sorry. It's cortisol talk. So like just having that, like when I think Sarah was asking about like what does it mean to fuel properly, having the protein and then the carbs, but because you want that insulin spike, have the carbohydrate immediately after, and then have that protein a little bit later, like she mentioned, I think is a really good technique where you're going to get the insulin response from the carb, and then the open cells, because that's what insulin does, it stores. So then you have the protein coming in once that insulin starts going up.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
Ooh, I sounded smart for a second. It was a fluke. Liz, your turn if you want to unmute yourself.
So you've been talking a lot about like having carbs, but what if you're someone that's not supposed to have a lot of carbs? Like my girlfriend and I are on this weight loss journey together, but she's diabetic, so she has to watch the amount of carbs she has.
Love this question.
That's for something to be able to eat that's not gonna like spike that crazy high.
Yeah, so I literally have a post written in my notes to like talk about this on my next TikTok because I had a really good conversation about this. So there are lots of things that you can do to lower your blood sugar response that doesn't involve cutting out carbs. I know it sounds fucking insane, but one is making sure you're having fiber with your carbs because it'll slow down your digestion. And it actually really helps with your blood sugar response, which a lot of people don't realize. There's like a bunch of studies that just came out with like fruit response to blood sugar. And it actually has like doesn't have a correlation to diabetes because of all the fiber and like micronutrients in it. So having fruit for your carb is actually good for you, especially if it's higher fiber. So things like berries and stuff like that. So that's one. The other one is pairing it with a protein, because what you're worried about is the like net blood sugar response. So if you're having a carb by its own, boom, that's gonna go up super high, especially if you're a diabetic. If you pair it with protein, you are going to see a very small increase, and it's actually going to be stable for a longer period of time, and then you're not going to have that crash afterwards. And the third thing you can do is making sure you have it before your workouts, or if you're having like a carb heavy meal with your supper, going for a 5 to 10 minute walk, like just a leisurely stroll, helps it circulate through your bloodstream a little bit better so that you don't get that spike either. So you can still have, like, if you're going to have it on its own, fruit is a good option. Again, you got to see like how your body responds to it, but having like a higher fiber carb, making sure that you're pairing it with protein, and then going for a walk after. Those are 3 things that you can do where you can still have your carbs, and it makes you feel so much better, like incredibly so.
I always get nervous when you just start talking about like processed carbs, because when you go through that processing, it's literally taking that fiber out or making it quicker to digest. So that's why you have such a like intense insulin spike afterwards, compared to like eating berries, compared to berry juice or like apple juice. Like have an apple, but in a cup of apple juice, you might be consuming the amount of sugar that's in 5 apples. But if you sat and ate down 5 apples, you'd be like, Ryan, you're absolutely nuts if you want me to do this. Like,
well, and it digests so much quicker when the fiber's out of it. So like, this is where like if people have digestive issues, I always say like lower fiber to start, like have some white rice or whatever, if like bloating is an issue and digestion is an issue. But if blood sugar is an issue, this is where I'm like, try having your whole grain breads, try having your whole grain pastas, try having more fruit and veg, try having like things that have a higher fiber content will like make a huge difference. And you have to pair it with protein, because that will like, it's crazy. Like if you look at graphs and studies, like if you Googled like blood sugar response, carbs versus protein or whatever, like you would see like if it's carbs only, it's super high. If there's no fiber in it, it's super high. As soon as there's fiber and protein in it, it like is completely leveled off and you don't get the same response.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I used to work with like the diabetes program, so I know all about this stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah. Any other questions?
I fucking love my carbs. I like did a post on my social media, and they're like, because I'm doing some branding stuff, and I was like, when you think of me, what do you think of? And people were like, carbs. I was like, oh, good.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. It's just like, it's so counterculture, but it's the right thing. And like the culture came from people who had really crazy success doing something crazy that was like the anti-norm. Like Atkins started it, and he's like, hey, no carbs here. And then you have that initial success. So people like, I get this quick response, this quick result. I'm 20 pounds down. Well, you might just fuck yourself for the next 20 years. Because you not only did you lose the weight and you gained it back because you introduced carbs afterwards, or you went back to your lifestyle, but your body remembers that stuff. So we have to somehow get over like that whole, like the psychology behind it and that mental relationship you have with that. I guess you call it a negative experience. Like you lost the weight, but you gained it back. So you have this emotional connection too.
Oh yeah, no, the 90s ruined like health and nutrition and fitness for women, like ruined it. The 90s was the fucking worst. Like it didn't do a whole lot for us. I'll just say that.
Any other questions? Well, Stephanie, I'm going to stop recording and thank you again for tonight. If anybody does have any last second, if you want to put your contact information in the bottom, I think that you're a great resource to have, or your TikTok. If anybody else is you're on TikTok or Instagram, because like I said, like we have a very similar messages. Again, we have like this of similar education when it comes to nutrition realm. And I agree with everything she said tonight. So that's cool that we didn't have to have like an open argument and try to like battle real quick. But no, like, you know, if you get a better response or a reaction or a better connection to Stephanie, I encourage you guys to work with her. Again, my biggest role here is I want to impact as many people in the world as possible. And I have a goal for people that I know. It's 10,000 pounds in 2022. So 10K in 2022, I'm trying to lose total amongst everybody. So if everybody starts losing just like 5 pounds, that would really help me in my goal. But any weight you can do that is amazing. Stephanie, you did awesome tonight. I really appreciate it. If anybody does have any questions and didn't get this link on her on the chat, you can always just email me or reach out and I can get you the information for her. Okay.
Yeah, reach out. I love, honestly, like even if you just want to like pick my brain and stuff, all for it. I swear a lot. So that's your only heads up. That's not going to change.
That's fair. Fair warning. All right. Well, thank you guys for hopping on tonight. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm actually going to give you the replays too, Stephanie, so that if you want to use it for your content.
Yeah, totally.
You had like a lot of like really good strings of great content that I feel like you could pick apart and make a TikTok video.
I feel like it's like
that's what I think.
My repeat. I just say the same shit over and over.
Not repeat, it's consistent. It's consistent.
Eat your carbs.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go tuck in Wells. Hopefully I get a little good night kiss. Amy, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Everybody else, thank you for having on. Thank you for all the questions. I'm just super grateful to have you guys in my group. And thanks again, Stephanie.
Yes, thanks for having me. Bye guys. It was so
Thank
nice to meet
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.